Well, hey, y'all. Bernie, thank you. Can you everybody hear me okay? Because Jason's probably looking to see if the audio levels sound cool. Okay. Hi. So I just need to take a second and fill in all your energy and stuff. I was saying to my lunch table, I get nervous doing these. And they're like, what? I'm like, I do. I just, my family doesn't think I'm very shy, but I'm shy. Who here's shy? Right? So if I'm shy, though, I overcompensate. So I'm always overcompensating. So it's just what I do. So I have not been here for a few years. And how many first-timers do we have here? Awesome. Yay! That's so great. So what I decided to do in celebration of my epic return, and a very fat version of me is on the website, if any of you have noticed. Thank you for keeping that on there, because I love being remembered for, that. So I decided to do something a little different. While I've been away, I sold a company, bought a new company, have been consulting, and I thought, I want to go back to CEO space with something different. I want to go back to CEO space and really teach something that is kind of what I've been up to lately. And it's really coming from a place that so much in media and marketing and public relations and social media has changed. And I really wanted to put together slides that will help all of you feel like you know a little more about marketing. Because even if some of you are at the capital raise and you're like, oh, I don't need marketing, and you're going to tune me out, that's cool. But you might want to still listen, because how you speak to people about the capital you need to raise, guess what? It's marketing, right? How you deal with your staff, and even if you have an intern, that's still staff, and interns are awesome, I was one. That's marketing. How you deal with your family while you're juggling and starting up a company, that's marketing. How you're talking to your mother-in-law or father-in-law or that crotchety old neighbor who thinks that you're just home doing nothing and working really weird hours. How you spin the commentary of the ball field parents that are doing the, what are you doing? Oh, you work? Oh. That's marketing. Right? Those moms, I love those moms, by the way. They're like, oh, you work? Oh, and they're flashing like their diamonds and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I work. But it's all marketing. It's not lying, but it's marketing, right? So you don't have to tell all. We're going to get into that. What you reveal is sometimes more powerful than flashing people. And it's so important that you keep that in mind. So let me just get a litmus test here. How many people are really in need of marketing for their company, like true blue, what you walked in thinking? How many people are here, and I won't take offense to it, though my mom is somehow looking down from, not that she's dead, she's alive, sorry, Mom. But she has cameras and she's like, who's not being nice to my baby? So who's here going, oh my God, I got to listen to some crappy presentation on marketing? Who's like, this sucks to be here? Raise your hand. Oh my God, thank you so much. Mom, we're okay. I'm from New Jersey, so you never know who's going to come after you. So basically, what I wanted to do while I've been away is really focus on what I've been learning. And I've been consulting with my team a lot of corporations, a lot of micro corporations, a lot of individual CEOs, book authors, you name it, startups. And they're all coming to me because of my media background, and I love that, right? And I can answer any of those questions for you. But they're coming up to me and they're like, how do I get on the Wall Street Journal? And I'm like, okay, how can I get Oprah to know me? How can I do this with Katie Couric? Or how can I do this on Ellen? And they think these quick fixes will get their business known and land on the map, and then everything will be fine. Well, that's what I thought when I took a water pill, and I thought I would lose my 80 pounds that way with just the one pill. And that didn't really work out for me, right? So it's kind of the same theory, you need a plan. You need to really think about this. You need to look at your triggers. You need to look at your focus. You need to look at what you're not focusing on. And then you need to figure out for you individually what you're going to do to get known or lose weight or fall in love or blah, 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 whatever it is. So your business is like a fingerprint. It's not like any other company out there. We have coaches. I'll hook you up. Watch. How many coaches are in the room? That was just a favor for my lunch table. I said, I think you're going to find a lot of coaches in the room. You're welcome. There you go. They're like those tables back there. So you're going to need to differentiate yourselves amongst each other. Because I guarantee you, the non-coaching people, when they hear the word coach, which I don't particularly love that word, they're going to bunch you in with everyone else. So let me do my first gift, which has nothing to do with my presentation. Really differentiate yourself, because if you all say the word coach without any other explanation, you now have, there was at least 40 people that raised your hand. I'm positive you're not all alike, so let's not all say we are, okay? And that could go for any type of company. Marketing is differentiating yourself from everybody else to the audience that needs you for that service. Make sense? Okay. Neuro Beam is my passion these days. It's the neuromarketing, neuroscience background of, I can't stop thinking about why people do what they do. I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it with dating in the love life area. I'm obsessed with it in the commercials. I'm obsessed with it with the parenting. I'm obsessed with it why the parent would say, oh, you Eric. Like, I'm obsessed with why people act the way they act in a true observational way. And it started coming out for me so much in my consulting. And they were coming up and, like I said before, just wanting that quick fix to get into the media. And I was trying to say, but there's so much more to you than your 4 minutes on, like Bernie. Yeah, we went to Houston. He did this awesome talk. It was a few years ago, but he did this, I still remember his interview. He sat there and the anchor thought that she knew what she was going to talk to him about. Well, if you know Bernie, that's just not going to be how it goes down, right? He knew what he needed to say. I knew what I needed him to say. I knew the host wasn't going to let us say it that way. So true, I walked in and they're like, Erin, Saxton, yeah. And I'm like, whatever. And I deflected and distracted, which we'll talk about. And I looked at the host and I said, listen, Bernie's a great talker. Trust me. Just ask him one question and he's going to go off. I told him to breathe after 30 seconds. He may listen. I don't know. But have a great follow-up question and then you're done. He's still going to talk. And I wasn't being rude, but I knew that once he started talking, she was going to be like, you know, and then you're going to have that silence. And I've been a TV producer long enough that I could talk to her from that side as a producer. And I was like, I need to make sure you also look good talking to Bernie, because I need this video to market so we can get more cool people like you all to CEO space, right? So, I mean, I get Bernie out there in the media so then you all can learn about who we are. And then with that, September and Ellen and everybody builds a bigger, stronger family with better credentials, better background, and then we can all keep helping each other. It's a very namaste approach. Got it? September, right? Yes. Okay. So Neuro Beam connects the dots for people. All right? This is a doozy of a slide. So we're just going to let this sink in. The meaningful design of your world. You are the creative vehicle through which your individual purpose is lived out. Your expressed promise and your personality, that which distinguishes you, is a story you must write. Kind of leading back to the coaches we just talked about, right? Whether you accomplish this entirely depends on today. I am going to teach you all how to market and how to think for yourself as that individual footprint, fingerprint, whatever, you get it. And it's up to you to use this knowledge today and bring it forward in all the other workshops that you take, in everything else that you learn, in every other conversation that you have. If you remain conscious of this fact, I promise you, you will be better off and stronger by Saturday for it. So there's two facets. I'm going to slide over this one, but I love working with the individuals and how they show up as leaders. So that's the because marketing. So when I work with Bernie, it's a because. I'm developing him as a thought leader. The Neuro Beam part comes from when Bernie needs to go in and work with companies. How companies think, how companies market, how companies do what they do. That's Neuro Beam, which is just me saying neuromarketing. I had to call it something. So what is neuromarketing? Let's look at it. It's leveraging new neuroscience about how brains work and combining it with the behavioral psychology foundations of marketing to create transformative experiences that lead to predictable action and tangible results. What? Right? Let me go back. Let's just unpack this a little. I'm fighting with my clicker. So basically, we have so much new information about how our brains work that we would be foolish to not think of that when trying to define who we are in our marketplace and who we want to speak to in that marketplace. Neuromarketing really taps into the long forgotten, almost dark art of marketing and why it even came up in the first place. And marketing essentially was this psychological experiment. And I don't mean in a bad way. Some of the slides I'm about to show you, you might think I'm actually negatively highlighting marketing or it's manipulative. Well, marketing was propaganda, and we'll get to that. I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean it if all of you are doing something really good in your life that will help people or help yourself or solve some sort of problem, then we need to figure out how to talk to these people so they hear you. Does that make sense? So many of us are running around and we're not really listening anymore. And that bothers me. I don't think companies even know why they're marketing anymore. They're literally running up, looking at a menu of services, they think of what their budget is, they think what they can afford, and they pick tactics. And then they're shocked when it doesn't work out for them. And then what really bothers me, and I will say this in defense of every PR firm, every marketing firm, every branding expert out there, the customers, you, rush through your decision making. You tell us what you think we should know. So shame on us for believing you, right? I don't know what I don't know. And I definitely don't know what you want to tell me. I don't even know if that makes sense to me, actually. But I'm just saying, like, none of us know what we don't know. And so many agencies out there take what you say to them as face value. Why? Why is that? Well, time is short. You're racing. You're probably just buying a low-cost press release bundle, blah, 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 blah. So it's a churn. It's going through it. All I'm saying is, let's use this time to get a cup of coffee and let's unpack this a bit. Because I can't say for sure that any PR agency, marketing agency, branding agency, or anybody is going to ask that one question that might stump you. And in that pause is truly the answer of how you need to market that company. That's my passion now. So where's Erin Saxton been? There. I'm hanging out in that gray area of the pause. I want to know why. I want to know, there's so many tactics out there, and they'll be effective for some, not for others. But my thing is, I get upset for the marketing companies because they take the clients on face value. And the clients don't know that that's not good, right? We're all trying to cut to the chase, and they have their intake meeting of an hour, and they think they're doing their due diligence. I'm telling you, it's not enough. And I've seen so many campaigns backfire, even my own. And then what happens? And I'm being really raw and honest with you guys. I didn't ask the right questions, but I had the media connections. So what do I care? I'll call my friends, I'll put them on the Today Show. It crapped out on me. And what happened? I then had ambassadors to my message of who I was as a brand, of, well, Erin Saxton's great, she's fantastic, but she couldn't get me on the Today Show. Holy crud, that's, now I'm not saying it happened a lot, but one time happened too many. It happened 3 times, to be honest with you. But that's gross to me. And I thought, who the heck am I? I'm sitting up here giving speeches, and I'm not even controlling my own marketing message about my company. But yet if I'm booking people on the media, and I earnestly have to pitch them, and the marketers, and then the media says they're not interested, well, didn't I try? I got to the decision makers, but my problem was that was not my promise. I wasn't guaranteeing anything, but everybody thought, because I had my best friends in the media, that I could do it. And I could for a lot of people, but for some I couldn't. And what the marketers needed to do, what I needed to do, was promise that it was going to get the attention it deserved. I even had that sentence in my brochure, but I didn't focus on it enough. I didn't walk the client through that, you know what, they might not like your book. And if they don't, I don't know what to say. I also stopped taking clients that just wanted me to pitch the media. No way, Jose. Why would I do that, right? I mean, no, because it was, the media was changing in so much, and still is, that you weren't, I mean, Jack Canfield and all these unknown authors, they were still I was still getting, 7 out of 10 campaigns, we were knocking it out of the park, creating so many different bestsellers, selling so many widgets. But they weren't getting known. Why? Then I realized there's a marketing issue. But I wasn't a marketer at the time. I was a PR person. And people thought, well, marketing is PR. It's not. It's just part of it. We're going to get to that. So neuromarketing is at the core of how people think, what people need, and how they're behaving. So we're going to go over blind spots and perception. We're going to go over reprogramming, habits, and consciousness. There's other parts of this that we won't be talking about, but it'll be available at some other class, I'm sure, and that's neuroaddiction and near win. And very quickly, that feeling of almost winning is so addictive that people are happy to almost win. So they keep doing that. Like the jackpot. You see 7-7, Joker. Ace, ace, flower. And that you produce more dopamine and more, your body has such a big positive reaction that it feels better to do that, to nearly win, than to win. It's crazy. And then people walk around not winning and then talking about it. So it's just like this whole thing, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're just going to skim the surface. It's going to be like drinking through a fire hose, but we're going to get through it together. And if there's time at the end, I'll do questions. And I will say that I'm only here till tomorrow afternoon. I need to get back home for this thing with my son. And I'm normally here all week. So if anybody needs to see me, I'll tithe my time once I get back to New Jersey. I'll book 15-minute calls. I won't sell. I promise you. I'll honor it all. And let me know if I can help you. Because what I'm about to lay down is really, it's kind of thick, right? And so it's not all that easy to digest. So let's talk about the dark art of marketing. So marketing basically was a manipulation and propaganda. Marketing has always been about altering, distinguishing, influencing, and controlling one's perception. Human beings live unconsciously 90% of the time and are unaware what they experience as their reality is merely perception. All of you are sitting next to one another. You're not having the same reality right now. How crazy is that? If we were, we would all be on the same page. If we were all on the same page, there would be never any disagreements. There would never be war. There would never be disputes or legal battles or bad breakups or misunderstandings. If we all had the same reality, the he said, she said wouldn't even be a reference point. It would just be what you said, right? The same techniques and skills that I'm talking about from a marketing perspective are used by skilled magicians and illusionists to master and manipulate the perception of their audience. And they're the same that we use here. I'm doing it now to you, right? I want you all to drop your guard, forget what you know about marketing, and I'm inviting you to rethink what you need to about your company. We could hire a magician, slide a hand, you don't know what's happening, and suddenly, poof, there's a dove. Like the dove was there the whole time, but you all had the perception that the dove truly just showed up. We know it didn't, but yet I don't know where the dove came. There was no bulges in the guy's top hat or something. I don't know. So it's just, it's the story they want us to believe. Marketers are good at telling stories. Heck, we're all good at telling stories to ourselves, right? It's the deflection. It's the me having you all look over here. Over here is really where the dove is. I don't know. It's the misdirection. So when I'm marketing about something, I'm guiding you to this direction, right? Like, so right now I'm guiding you to doing one thing, and I'm making sure you're not focusing on me pitching the media. See how I'm doing that? Now I'm bringing it back, so of course I just ruined it. But, you know, like, so I'm telling you that that was a exercise in frustration. That doesn't mean we don't do it still. That doesn't mean we can't talk about it. But that doesn't mean that's where my passion is, so I'm going to focus on here. Meanwhile, I can have this conversation with pitching the media just as quickly as I could have 5 years ago. Does that make sense? Everyone with me so far? Okay. The success of these techniques is wholly dependent on the way that the brain works in neurochemically creating and rewarding perception. You guys have the ability to make each other think what you want them to think, and not in a mean way. You are going to tell people what you want them to hear. You will say it in a way so you can manipulate the way you want them to remember. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, it's what the big businesses have done for a really long time. Small companies, like all of us though, are so busy copycatting the big tactics that the big companies are using in marketing that we're not really thinking for ourselves. So we are looking at a one-size-fits-all brain trust that Walmart has done, what Target has done. And you'll say, well, I've done this for Starbucks. Well, if you did it for Starbucks, this is going to be good for me. No, but you're going to think that, right? So I can say, oh, like if I were to sell, I'd say, well, oh, I did this for Jack Canfield. Oh, I did this for Lisa Nichols. Well, guess what? So you're an author. Perfect example. So we know each other. So if I call the media, or if I call charities, or I call communities, and I say Jack Canfield Chicken Soup for the Soul, that'll open some doors, and I can do that. I can't take Jack's campaign and put it on your and Jeanette's book that's coming up. Why is that? Because no one knows, I say this with love, who you or Jeanette really are. Unlike Lisa Nichols, Laurel Langmeyer, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. Tony Robbins. I've worked with them all. And I couldn't even take a Tony Robbins campaign and put it on a Lisa Nichols campaign. Different audiences. So why the heck are we doing these one-size-fits-all campaigns when we don't have as much money anymore? It bothers me, right? I don't like to see entrepreneurs wasting their money. I also don't like seeing entrepreneurs thinking they can do it all themselves. I really have to say that that really annoys me as well, because, like, you want experts in when it's needed. Experts don't love to be called. One of the reasons why my company's called 11 Communications, no joke, is because I got so many calls in the 11th hour because people needed help. And I just thought, oh, I should just appropriately say that. So like we said, the light seems brighter when it's mostly blocked, and a partial reveal is more powerful than a full show. Book authors. How many book authors in the audience? Nice. Please, when we talk about promoting your book, let's not promote the whole book. I'm going to try something crazy on you all. Let's take it chapter by chapter. Promote and come up with, let's say the book has 15 chapters. Let's do, ready? 15 different marketing campaigns. Hey, let's do it, right? Let's get smart about this. You all wrote this content for so long. Why are we just throwing it up there and bleh, like, yeah, you got a baby, now you got to raise it, but 15, let's milk it for 15 years, right? Let's not just go, here's the book. You know how much content, how many social media tweets, how many marketing campaigns and nuggets, and each campaign, each chapter, how many different verticals and communities you could have per chapter? Heck, why don't we just release chapter by chapter by chapter? And another thing is too, I don't need any of you to write a book. Ever. I don't care. I mean, it's great that you wrote a book. That's awesome. But I just need you to have content in your head. I need you to think. I need you to be smart. I need you to be a subject matter expert on something. But no one says you have to write a book. A marketer or a branding person doesn't need a book to market you, to brand you. Where's Jerry Foster? Do you agree? Oh, if he didn't go to my class. Jerry Foster. It's a good thing I love him. Well, there's his shout out, whatever. David Gruder, do you agree? Yes, thank you, love. Anyway, Jerry would agree too, because honestly, I speak for all the faculty. Like, we're here to figure out what you need, not to fit you into what we know how to do. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. So the dark art, my friends, let's talk about it. The first PR campaign ever was called Torches of Freedom. It was based on, from psychoanalyst A.A. Brill. Edward Bernays, do we know that name? He's the godfather of PR. He's the original guy. Oddly enough, he had an uncle. Who was his uncle? Yes, Sigmund Freud. How fun is that? Crazy, right? I know. It was his mother's brother, Freud. So he looked at Uncle Siggy, and he was like, I see what this guy's doing. And he thought, you know what? If I could control what the masses were thinking, we might not fall into communism. I think he was from Austria, right? We might not fall deeper into war. If I could control what the masses are thinking, if I can control or help control the messages that we're getting out in mass, then I can maybe do some good in the world. So yes, I'm calling it a dark art, but that doesn't mean dark is sexy sometimes, right? I mean, dark is edgy. We like that. So Edward Bernays' marketing campaign made cigarettes the symbol of women's aspirations and as a symbol of emancipation and equality with men. Lucky strike. They were selling out like crazy, but they were only selling to men. So they went to Bernays and they were like, we don't know what to do. We need more people. We need to increase our sales. And then together they realized, well, no women are smoking because it's only something that prostitutes do. Dirty women do it. And no woman, even the prostitutes at the time, would be caught dead smoking in public. So Bernays was smart. He said, I'll show you what I'm going to do. He hired his secretary at the Easter Day parade. And they took a picture of her. In fact, she's the one in the center with the white stripes. A reporter came up and said, what are you doing? And she said, well, I'm smoking. A man just came up to me and said it was embarrassing him that I was smoking in public and demanded that I put it out. And I decided not to. Made the presses. Then more hired actresses stepped out off the curb, already lit up, And there you have it. Wow. Crazy, right? The campaign was called Torches of Freedom. What was it? Was it really about smoking? Not for the women. For Lucky Strike it was. So Lucky Strike and Bernays realized that if they could provoke that feeling that women were feeling about their life, that maybe that product could be viewed as the hero, that strong arm, that symbol. So I ask you, now we know all about smoking now, right? We know it's unhealthy. And the same reverse marketing just happened recently because my son thinks it's gross if you smoke, right? So now we know that the marketing techniques had to go backwards after all these years. So marketing in the dark art could also be for good. Now it's not cool to smoke. It's not empowering. It's a crutch. You look weak. You don't look like you're together. You don't look like you're on the ball, blah, 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 blah. That's what the kids are thinking. Well, heck, we're all addicted at this point, right? I mean, my parents smoked like chimneys. I mean, my pillows and growing up, my hair, I was like, oh, this is crazy. But no one knew. They didn't know what they didn't know, right? But now we know. Bernays later on did something with ivory soap, same thing. Wasn't giving anybody lung cancer, was just making people really clean and kind of like tapped into the same kind of premise. Here is, my love, the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. See what I mean? Like, he was really looking at it for the greater good. But then he realized Lucky Strike paid him $25,000 back in the 1920s, which, who's like financial guy? Like, what would that be considered these days in money-wise? Right? I mean, like, seriously, like crazy money, right? So, I mean, of course, he sold, he jumped on that. Side note, I would too. Those manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Goes on to talk more about it, but I don't have to quote him. I think we get the idea. Plato, 1,000 years before. Duh, Plato, the guy knows everything. He already said it. He was like, yeah, Bernays, duh. Those who tell the stories rule society. Plato. Right? We all have the ability to tell a story. And if there's anyone here who wants to argue in a leveling way that we are not manipulated by, not all of us, but in mass, by marketing messages, let's just take a look at this video. Black Friday. Really? We have to get there. The turkey on Thanksgiving is still hot, and we're already lining up at Walmart. We're already lining up at Toys R Us. Is anybody getting this kind of customer response? I mean, this is awesome. This is marketing, people. This is literally coming up with the I need it now. And you, because money is tight, America, need to leave your family and get it now because we're going to save you money. And saving money will allow you to buy even more things for your kids. And we all want to be great parents. So I'm going to beat this man up for that 72-inch high-definition television. Meanwhile, joke is there's more on the flatbed truck coming in 7 hours. Look at them. It's just so sad, and yet kind of so cool and interesting. I kind of like it, I'm not going to lie. So reality is perception, right? We all have different realities because we all have different perceptions. This is a Boeing 737. It's a flight simulator. This is a computer screen. We do this for our airline pilots and our pilots because we want them to go through as many maneuvers and what could happen, rut row problems, as possible, right? So studies have shown that the brain cannot tell the difference between the real world and simulation. I mean, logically you step in and you're like, okay, I'm not in Kansas anymore, and you get that you're sitting down and you're in a simulator. But then the air pressure changes in the simulator, and then you're nose diving the video screen, and you're like sweating, and you're now not thinking. And it goes back to the slide that shows that we're unconsciously thinking about things. You have now gone into fight or flight. You're not thinking. So as marketers, as companies, what do we need to do to help our people, our customers, our employees, our family, our friends, our ladies at this soccer game that want to judge? What do we want them to unconsciously be thinking about us? You have that control if you pay attention to these slides, right? So reality is perception. However, I think it's more about perception is your reality. Because that's all we have is our own perception. Because, I mean, imagine if I sat there and said, he's a red shirt on, right? Do you see a red shirt? He said that like this. Did you hear him say that? I thought his voice went up on the word the a little high. Did you hear that? Like, who has time to do that? Nobody. So perception, I'm going to say, is reality. Therefore, I'm making a leap here. If perception is reality, wait for it, our reality is altered when our perception is altered. Huge information for marketers. Perception is the unconscious story we tell ourselves about what has happened or is happening. I've had plenty of times where I've had moments where I thought, did that just happen like that? Is it me? And you come across feeling like you look like such a sensitive person because you really just need that reality check. But yet I know we all have those moments. And so your perception is really the only reality you have to go on, unless you want to double check yourself, and then I think there's prescriptions for that. Like you're going to be busy and you're never going to have time to market your company anyway, so you'll be too busy talking about the shopping list. Stories fill in the unknown gaps, or blind spots in our knowledge and experience, and delude us into believing what we know. So here's the thing. We all have blind spots. We all have recall, but not 100%. So when you guys are thinking about how to position your company or how to introduce an idea for your staff or your spouse, think about what could the blind spots be. So I can overcompensate. So I can at least fill in the blanks for them, because I want them to know certain things. I don't want them to make up their own stories. When you're young and in love and the guy doesn't call you, or you don't call somebody back, or you fill in a story. The whole premise of that movie, he's just not into you, right? That's a story. He's really just not into you. That's why he didn't call you. People say, oh, I've just been so crazy busy, I haven't been able to return your call, and that's why I'm not picking you up on your bid. No, you're not calling for the bid because it's just something's missing for you to compel the action. But you believe them because you don't want to be let down, and that's your story. So we all have blind spots, but I invite you to think about stuff and eliminate as many blind spots as possible. We'll never be able to 100% eliminate, but we can at least increase our odds. Marketers take advantage of this mechanism and the existing blind spots by providing the stories to fill in. So here's the thing. I want all my customers, all my clients to be the hero. So don't think for one darn second when I go and do a strategy session with my clients that I'm not thinking, what are their blind spots? What are their customers needing from them? What pings can I make their customers feel? What ailments can I highlight? What problems can I highlight? And then I'm going to write a story. Doesn't mean it's not true. I'm going to write a story about how my client's blah, blah, blah saves the day. It's as simple as that, and yet it's so not simple. It gets a little more interesting. The Associated Press said American attention span went from 22 minutes in the 1960s to 8 seconds in 2012, which means I am like all but the first 8 seconds I had your attention, and now like you've checked out. But so it's why I try to like lead with different stories and go a little nuts with
we
things.
all have
Ego, but I think that we have to stay open to the fact that we have to ask the questions and do the due diligence and really do process of what we need to know. And you can't go under the assumption of it's going to work out this way because it did 3 days ago. You just have to be prepared. And I think that that vulnerability can be a blind spot. And there's a million more examples of it, but I just want to keep it in general. Yes?
Erin, I have a market disruptive technology, and I have a producer with Good Morning America that wants to put me on the show.
Okay.
The problem is that what I would say about my technology would be highly disruptive to a large manufacturing group. Do you think that all publicity is good publicity, even if it has offensive natures toward a market that's extremely big and powerful, and what you have to say is a solution to like cancer, but the pharmaceutical industry wouldn't like it? Is all publicity good publicity?
Figuratively speaking, of course.
Figuratively speaking,
of
yes.
Well, I like publicity because it's our perception of is it good versus bad publicity. Publicity is just that word. It's now you're known. The challenge with what you need to probably be prepared for isn't so much the media time, because that part's cool. It's what could happen to you and the company's reputation should there be when the backlash comes. Can you back it up? Are you ready to back it up? Do you have the legal, the lawyers, the board of advisors on retainer or volunteer, whatever, that when they bring down the heat, because you know their lawyers are going to come for you, are you financially, are you mentally, are you ready to do that? So a 7-minute segment on Good Morning America is awesome, but not if you're going to cower with, in the corner because you can't handle, the fallout or the fall up. If you can do it and be robust and be like, yeah, I can do it, then you have a great potential to shift the world. But until you're ready for that, because Good Morning America is not going to back you. They're just going to, the media doesn't have any real responsibility, right? I mean, I think we all used to think that they had like this integrity type of responsibility to come on, people, The last thing I want to do is I also want to make sure that we all understand what marketing is. Marketing is like the parent. The parent has 3 kids, let's just pretend. We're all in a car going on a vacation. I just said this at lunch. My oldest child is advertising. She's in her 20s. She doesn't need much attention, but she's awesome. Super reliable girl. My middle child's public relations. She really cares what other people think. She gets her friends to talk about everybody. She talks about everybody. And you got to keep an eye on her. But not as much as my baby, social media. As the parent, marketing. My social media baby, I have no idea what she's going to grow up to be. No clue. But all I know is that I got to bring her on in the car for vacations. I got to include her now. I'm a bad parent if I don't include all 3 kids somehow. Right? Marketing is how I parent. Marketing is my thought process of my skill set and the strengths of each of my 3 girls or boys, whatever, right? Marketing is I'm going to send my oldest here, then I'm going to send this to the teen group. I'm going to put this one in the nursery because I really got it. Social media makes me nervous. I love her, but she makes me nervous. But gosh darn, she's the cutest one of them all, right? She's so quick to feedback and everything. So I have 3 kids, and we're all at different stages. And how I interact with each of my kids is marketing. What I let each of my kids do is marketing. What I let other people think about my kids, not so much marketing, but I'm going to try. Does this make sense? Marketing is not PR. Marketing is not social media. And marketing, people, is not advertising. Marketing is the way you're working with those three, and then you dive out from there. Media has nothing to do with my kids. It's just a thing that my teenage daughter keeps bringing around, my middle. And my oldest, well, she'll buy me a commercial. That's media, I guess. But I know what to expect there because I paid for it. Now, I might get my baby to get me some media. I can't control that at all. And that's going to be on the internet and all that kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? Like, media is part of that. Media is not marketing. Marketing is the way you parent. Marketing is the way you run your company. Marketing is the way you think about how you're going to grow your business, how you work with your customers, and the stories you tell all of us. Thank you.